want to talk about this weapon here today. This is a Jennings J-22 22 rimfire pistol. This particular one is a very old one, dates back to about 1980. They still make them today under a half dozen different names. The manufacturer of it has traded from family member to family member, and it's made under many names. This one, if you can read it, is what was originally known as the Jennings J-22, made by Jennings Firearms in Chino, California. It originally had checkered grips, but they broke, so I replaced them with the later model grips. Big difference between the later model and the current model is the early model, the safety went front to back. Forward is fire, back is safe. But newer model has a safety that goes up and down. Other than that, there is no substantial difference. They use the same magazines. Field stripping at this button here. Push in on the button. Pull the pistol down. Yeah. Come on now, don't make me a liar. Here we go. Push in on the button. That's the safety and the ball bearing. This field strips the pistol. This is your breech block. This is your recoil spring. This is your firing pin. Reassemble in reverse order. The only catch-22 on these things is repositioning the safety on the early models. It's kind of problematic. It's got a little tiny little spring, fits into a little tiny hole here, and I will attempt to do that before the camera runs dry on me. There we go. Spring is in the hole. Little itsy bitsy ball bearing, about a 1/16 of an inch diameter. So what you want to do is position on top of the spring in the hole. Take the safety, round end to the front, the fork down, position it over everything. Thusly, you should be able to see the ball bearing sticking out through the hole, right about there. To slide the slide back on, you simply drop it in like this. A lot of people report in a lot of the models, sometimes it's very tricky to get the slide on, and you've got to slide the barrel through that hole in the front, but do so at an angle. Sometimes it goes in very easily. Sometimes, like right now, it wants to be a pain and not go in so easily. Remember, when putting it on, to hold that safety back in place. That adds to the fun. Alright, let's see if I can get it on. I've had days that this goes on in seconds, and I've had days that it takes 20 minutes. There we go. Now, I've started it. I've pushed the breech block in with my thumb. I closed the slide, I released the breech block, and my gun is now loaded and cocked. One of the drawbacks of the Jennings is there is no way of decocking the pistol without pulling the trigger. The early manufactured version, the barrel is softer than the firing pin, so repeated dry firing, such as I just did, will eventually peen the back end of the barrel. Brownells Corporation sells a 22 caliber swage tube specifically designed for that problem. You basically insert the swage tube into the barrel, give it a few turns, and it'll move the displaced metal back into position on the barrel, and your gun is ready for some more firings. However, the Jennings J-22 pistol, although it is an excellent beginner's pistol, it is a very good gun for beginners in the automatic, semi-automatic category. It is not in any way, shape, or form a reliable weapon. Its biggest use is plinking at targets, tin cans, bunny rabbits, or groundhogs, if that's what's legal in your area. These guns, all of them, have a reputation for jamming every fourth or fifth shot, if not more often. Later on, when we go to the range, you'll see what I mean. You fire 2-3 rounds and it will fail to fire, or it will fail to eject, or it will fail to feed. That is what makes it an excellent pistol for beginners to semi-automatics. You learn to cope with the malfunction, because even the best pistols will malfunction once in a while, sometimes at the worst possible time. The Jennings J-22 is your plinking pistol. It doesn't matter if your malfunction is a failure to feed, a failure to fire, a failure to eject, a stovepipe jam. Doesn't matter. Sooner or later, the Jennings in the first 100 rounds will give you one of each type of malfunction, and you will quickly learn to deal with the different ones. The worst possible malfunction, of course, is failure to extract, where the slide comes back and the cartridge case remains in the chamber. Usually when that happens, you can flick it out with a fingernail. Sometimes you're just going to have to get a twig or something similar and poke it out the barrel of the Jennings. Always remember to remove the magazine when doing that, because you're potentially playing with a loaded firearm, so you want to make it as safe as possible, and then focus on the round in the chamber. This pistol, I would hold it like that while pushing a stick through if I couldn't get it out. I would also first check, make sure that the round appeared to be fired, although in reality the treatment for it is going to be the same regardless of whether you've got an unfired round that has failed to ignite after the primer did not ignite after the firing pin hit it, or if you have a fired round and the bullet has left the barrel and gone down range. Either way, the only cure, if it's stuck in the chamber, is to just poke it out with a small stick. It's a problem you don't usually have with the larger calibers, although I have seen that happen with 45-70 rifles too, if the rim shears off during an extraction process. But anyway, this is the Jennings J-22. Mine was initially sold in what's called Teflon black. That is, the entire gun was coated here with black Teflon. As you can see, through years of usage, the Teflon has come completely off the slide. The best ammo for it, in the maker's opinion, is this CCI Stinger ammunition. It's getting hard to find. I've only got a few boxes left of it, but it does give a lot of recoil impetus to this pistol. Even in the early models, you can probably hear this safety is fairly positive. That's that ball bearing snapping into position in that hole pushed up by the spring. Some people have complained that the Jennings magazine does not insert smoothly. I've got two magazines for this pistol. They both go in the same way. I find them to be very smooth. I can just assume it's variations between work shift to work shift in the factory that are producing the problems. One of the reasons these guns are of questionable quality is that both the frame and the slide are made of a zinc alloy, not steel. The only steel in the gun, I believe, is the springs, the barrel, and the firing pin. Like I said, the barrel is a soft steel. The firing pin is made of a harder steel. Nobody knows why. The original maker of it is long since passed on. Current manufacturer, I understand they've solved that problem. Now the barrel is a harder metal. Sights, given the fact that this is intended as a laughable pocket pistol, these sights are pretty good. Intended range is about 30 feet or less, and for that range, these sights are more than adequate. As you can see, even when I go to the range with this, even a .22 rimfire is more than capable of causing a lethal wound by penetrating over an inch deep into wood and maybe 6 inches deep into flesh or bone. However, in no way, shape, or form should the .22 rimfire be considered as an acceptable caliber for self-defense, because there are many documented failures of the .22 rimfire to stop an armed attacker before he kills the person shooting him with the .22. On the flip side of the coin, the .22 rimfire has been known to kill every animal on Earth, from